thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, how was the trip? That was just...
Yeah, really good, really good. I'm glad the wind calmed down at the end. It's always nice when you have a couple of calm days, rather than 20, 25 not blowing. But yeah, really good, really good.
What was your favorite dive, just like out of everything that we did?
That's so tricky. It depends, really depends which reef. And it changes by the month. I've been having some really good dives on Two Towers at the moment. The last time I went there, I had a turtle nibble my fins and use me as a little back scratcher, which was super fun.
That's cool.
Cod hole is always just fantastic. The coral there is amazingly healthy and the cod is a superstar. So tricky to just choose, but probably cod hole at the moment. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that was super fun.
Oh wait, I've changed my mind. Gotham City. For a night dive, Gotham City, by far. But otherwise, cod hole.
It was, I was really not like, because this is the first time I've properly been diving the reef up here, and it was much sharkier than I expected.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to have that much
and we had
shark action.
We had hammerhead sightings, which was really cool. That's not normal for us. Like, they do come around, but not commonly. Yeah, it's kind of a rare dive where you don't see sharks up here, which is lovely to have them around and interacting with us, often really curious and coming around, kind of circling us.
Yeah, Keto came by and he pointed out, he kept signaling to us that there was a hammerhead underwater, and we kept missing it. Yeah. So
I was always looking the wrong direction.
I know. I was a bit bummed about that when we came up and heard there was a hammerhead. I was like,
oh damn!
Shit.
It's like you're thrilled for the person who's seen it, and you're like, oh, I'm so happy for you, like good for you. But part of your brain is like, oh, I would have loved to see that.
Yeah. So, just wanted to warm up there. Thank you for joining me. So, could I really quick get your first and last name?
Sure. My first name's Helen, and my second name's Green.
Yep. And for the past week, we've been out on the Mike Ball Dive Expeditions boat.
Correct.
Having a grand old time, checking out all sorts of weird and wonderful places on the Great Barrier Reef. And can you just describe what you do on the boat?
Sure. So I am Spoil Sport, that's the boat's name. I'm Spoil Sport's onboard videographer and photographer. It's actually a hard job to describe because I do multiple different roles on the boat. So I take pictures. We offer this really cool service where we provide everyone with a professional, like fully strobed DSLR pictures of their trip, all the divers underwater, on the boat. I fly a drone up. I also make videos from the trip, so everyone can kind of relive the highlights of their trip. But that's just one aspect of my job. The other side of my job is that I'm the onboard marine ecologist, and I do surveys whilst I'm on the reef. We do 3 types of surveys. We do tourism weekly surveys, so these are stewardship sites. These are the sites that we're monitoring over a long time period because we go there every week. It's a genius idea, really. Get tourism operators to do a long-term study instead of sending out scientists on your own boat, and it costs a fortune. Yeah. We also do reef health and impact surveys. They are transect surveys, and they monitor the health of the coral in particular and the substrate around the coral, and they look for things for like predation on the reef. And I also do Drupella and crown of thorn surveys, so looking for coral predators around the reef. And on top of that, if that wasn't enough already, I'm also deck crew, so I'm doing a lot of tender driving. I'm helping out around the boat, lots of deck staff duties on top of that. So it's a really cool role that I get to do a lot of chip in and do a lot of different stuff over the week. So
I think this is like a absolutely fantastic example of a responsible tourism operator putting in and having a paid position to go out and be opportunistic about collecting data.
Absolutely.
And so where does this data go? So when you do these surveys, you're going out after you collate all your data. What do you do with it?
So I come back, it's on waterproof paper. I sort through the data, and then I upload it to the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Agency. It's a bit of a mouthful, it's Grumpa for short.
Sure.
And I upload that online. I also upload any sightings of crown of thorns, of any drupellas that I picked up. I think last trip I picked up about 78 drupellas. Whoa. And we killed 2 crown of thorn juveniles, which is fabulous.
I totally forgot. At the last site, I did see
crown of thorn juvenile.
I see the juvenile one right in the shallows.
We've noted, I didn't manage to go back and kill that one, but next trip he's just up from the mooring. So so I input that onto the system, and then the guys over at Eye on the Reef, they collate that data, and they use Tourism Weekly a bit like a early warning device. So if they about to see a big wave of bleaching come in, or a lot of coral predation, or certainly around more frequency sites, coral disease caused by extra nutrients in the water, we can kind of be like, okay, there's a problem here, we can see this curve in the data, and they can act upon that.
Now, really quick, just because I think a lot of people might not understand why we are going out and collecting these drupellas. They're little snails, right?
Yeah.
And crown of thorns, which are a starfish.
Absolutely.
Why are you going out and killing them or collecting the drupellas?
It sounds mean, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going out to the reef and I'm picking up all this stuff. We've been told not to touch the reef and not to mess with it, and then I have to. It's a very valid point. Like, why are we messing with this?
Yeah.
Why are we killing things on the reef if it's meant to be there? And both are species that are naturally found here. They're not invasive. It's not like the lionfish in the Caribbean. So drupellas, they're a tiny little snail. They kind of look like garden snail, but covered in coral. You could imagine, like a reddish color. And they have this raspy little tongue, and they go up from the base of corals, and they rasp at the coral polyps, and they slowly chew it up and slurp it up.
Cool.
And they are a natural part of the marine system. They help clear out older corals and let space for new corals grow. And this is also the same for crown of thorns. It only becomes a problem when there's lots and lots and lots of them. And if they can kind of rampage across the marine system, they're quite fiddly to collect, especially in more intricate coral species, some acropora species. They're quite hard to like collect off the coral. But by doing that, we're preventing the coral from being eaten in one way or another. And it's the same story for crown of thorns. They are much faster, much more efficient predators. So they will climb up a coral and, sorry if you've got any squeamish people listening to this, extrude all their stomach acid and their whole stomach over the coral, digest the polyps in situ, and then slurp up the juice. It's kind of gruesome. Yeah. And they are efficient. They can rampage over corals very quickly. Even a juvenile, that one you saw, you could see the white scars around it where it had been feeding. So, and crown of thorns can be impacted a lot by agricultural runoff, and they can sometimes get a little bit out of control. And there's lots of different NGOs around Australia which are involved in the clean-up of crown of thorns and trying to cull them, and drupellas, but it's a bit of a fiddly job.
Yeah. Thankfully, a lot of the spots we were diving this past week were pretty remote sections of the GBR. We're far north Coral Sea, and I didn't see I saw it barely. I only saw I think out of the 24 dives that we did, I saw one crown of thorns.
One juvenile, there's not many, and there's not many scars at the moment, which is really good to see. It's fantastic. The reef has gone through cycles, which is natural to go through cycles, and some of the reefs have been hit hard, but other areas are still in pretty good nick. Drupellas, they're hard to see. You've got to get right down in there and kind of go rooting around to have a find of them. And they are around, but they are naturally meant to be there. They're not. None of the reefs that we went to on that trip have major crown of thorn or drupella damage that you'd be noticing kind of as you dive along. So it's lovely you got to see like this still pretty pristine part of the reef.
Yeah. So I guess a few questions. How does one become a marine ecologist on like one of the best liveaboards in Cairns, and how long have you been doing it? Like, what? I guess give me a bit of your background.
For sure. This is a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, but I'm not actually a trained marine ecologist. I am an oceanographer.
Okay.
So and I feel a bit bad when people introduce me as an ecologist or marine biologist, because they're slightly different disciplines.
Sure.
So I was trained in oceanography, which is much more about the general physics and the chemistry of the ocean. Marine ecology is a pet hobby, because I just love the fish and I want to know their names and I want to know how they all relate together. And I think there's a really fantastic community of amateur marine ecologists out there who are just fascinated with what lives under the ocean, without actually having any training.
Yeah. Really quick, how many dives do you think you've done on the GBR?
On the GBR?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Would it be in the thousands?
Probably under 1,000.
Under 1,000.
Yeah, I've been working for this company since March this year.
Okay.
So under 1,000, a couple hundred.
Yeah. But that being said, like, let's say hundreds of hours.
Hundreds of hours.
Hundreds of hours underwater.
Probably months underwater.
Somebody who's working on this type of boat is getting way more like field experience than your typical, let's say, university student who's in a classroom setting.
In one sense,
Sure.
the part that we don't have out here is we don't have the lab, we don't have the data analysis, the write-up. But in
Right.
terms of real-world field application, doing surveys, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you'll get the credit for marine ecologist. I think you can.
Certified.
Yeah. Even though you don't have a degree in it, I think it's still safe to say that, being somebody who does this for a living every single day,
Sure.
pretty much.
I just know nothing about biology. That's my pitfall. People ask me about cells and inner workings. I go,
Sure.
that's my weak spot. But ecology and how things relate to one another, I do find fascinating. Yeah.
So just regarding the way that things are working, especially up here on the GBR, bleaching is a huge point of discussion,
Yes.
and it's a problem that we're seeing with climate change. What are your views on the current state of the reef? How are things going?
Sure.
What's your overall opinion on it?
It's a really interesting question, that one, because the reef goes through seasons, as does any other environment on Earth. Right now is a really good time to see the reef. It's winter, the water's a lot cooler. The coral is like full colour at the moment, really good visibility. Along with all marine biologists and everyone who's exposed to the reef, we've got worries, of course. It's an environment, we care about the environment enough that if you see something coming, it can be worrying. For example, this year our sea temperature is much higher this winter than it necessarily should be at this time of year,
Sure.
which spays some worries towards the reef for this summer and possible bleaching events that could be occurring there. However, there's a lot of bad press, I think, about the Great Barrier Reef, and it's this natural one of the world. It covers a huge amount of latitude, and I think there's a lot of news stories out there being like a third of the reef is dead, it's gone, it's dying. There's nothing we can do about it, and I really dislike this defeatist attitude, because the reef is huge. There are parts, as we saw, which are really healthy, really alive, really vibrant, thriving ecosystems, and to count it as dead is giving up hope on it. And that's the one thing we don't want to do. We want to keep that hope and kind of coddle the sections we can, coddle as much of it as we can, and try and protect as much of it as we can.
Yeah.
There's different things that I see on the reef that have me concerned for different reasons.
Like what?
This trip, I found more crown of thorns than I normally do. I actually haven't found almost any over the last couple of months, and I actually started finding them this trip. So. Cause for concern. The guys over at the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Agency were raising the flag on the warning that a new wave of crown of thorns could be coming towards the reef, and this is the first sign. A couple of crown of thorns on a reef isn't a sign that it's coming, but it's just an indicator.
Sure.
I do worry sometimes about there's a type of coral disease you get called white syndrome, which changes the colour of the coral, and slowly the colour of the coral goes across and dies. And I've been seeing a few different variations of coral disease on the reef. It's hard to notice, to be honest, unless you're really looking, and then you're like, oh, that's that coral's unwell. To put it lightly. So all these things are natural parts of the reef, but they're things that are good to monitor, so we can know if there's a real problem here, which there could be, how to act on it in the best way.
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about monitoring, right? And there's in-kind support given by tourism operators in the form of positions like yours, where you've got somebody on the boat being opportunistic about accessing these really remote regions of the reef.
Opportunity,
Sure.
if you like, yeah.
And the state government, to my understanding, also has, the Queensland government also does surveying and has they send scientists out.
Yeah, we've got AIMS down in Townsville. There's lots of other organisations that are into COTS and surveying around the reef.
Yeah, as well as the local universities, like James Cook is one of the like the world's best universities for studying marine science.
Fantastic, yeah.
And so there's a lot of work that's going into the reef, and there's a lot of investment.
There's a lot of funding, absolutely. There's a lot of investment, whether it's with education or surveys. For sure, there is.
Yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you know how much funding the state government puts into marine research, or I guess reef research?
I do not know the exact amount, and I wouldn't want to hazard a guess. I know that the Great Barrier Reef brings in to Australia, I'm worried I'm getting my numbers wrong. It's maybe 2 million or maybe 2 billion a year. It brings into
so I think it's with a B.
Concept of money.
I'll put the number up. I think it's. I'll insert a little thing that.
Be like,
this is ding.
I struggle to comprehend numbers on that kind of scale when you think about how much a million or billion is. But it brings in a huge amount to the Australia economy, and I know from the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, they will sponsor the boat for 2 employees, so me and Pablo, the other videographer, photographer, marine biologist. They help sponsor our kind of salaries.
Your positions,
so it's not just from the boat, it's actually paid for from the government to do these surveys.
How much subsidized by grant funding and whatnot.
Yes, absolutely. It's a grant that we apply for. How much in total? I couldn't guess.
Yeah, that's okay. I do appreciate your thoughts and input on it. Just but we know it's a lot. Like, we know that the state government does put in a lot of funding, and a lot of supports the reef.
Yeah.
What do you think Queensland could be doing better?
I think there's one aspect which I feel like we could be doing better, which is you often get, and I'm myself are guilty of this, I am English. I'm not an Australian citizen yet. I'm hoping to get my permanent residency soon because I love this place. But
cool.
You see a lot of international marine biologists coming, even though we've got an amazing university here from James Cook, who are training up like the next generation of fantastic marine biologists, marine ecologists, oceanographers. It would be cool to see more student involvement on the reef, and it would be cool to see more local traditional owners being able to be given the opportunity to participate more in research and participate more in the work going on to protect sea country. I say this as someone who knows very little about the subject and as a foreign national, but it's not something we have on the boat. It's something I think the company would really benefit from. This might not be the case on other boats, but speaking from what I see here, I think that would be really cool to have that kind of involvement. Yeah,
and so you've been on the boat for, how long was it again?
I've been on the boat since September, but I did used to work for the company about 8 years ago.
Okay, cool. So I guess like during your time with the company, has there been any school groups or I guess like educational programs run with like local community?
We do have an idea in the future that we're going to do more kind of like teaching people to survey like I do on the reef. So it would be an option for our guests to learn how to do eye on the reef surveys in a small capacity and do sightings in a very similar way to iNaturalist works. If you guys know what
I think so. A big part of our audience is South Australians, and I think pretty much every single person watching this knows exactly what iNaturalist is.
Absolutely. So there's the opportunity to learn that. We haven't had any bigger groups on. Maybe because we're not a day trip boat. We are a 3 to 7 night liverboard, and we go out to the furthest parts of the reef that aren't frequented by most other boats. Not on a single dive did we have another dive boat around, or even within sight of the boat most days. They're really far away kind of parts of the reef. So whether they'd be suitable, I don't know. Or possibly on the shorter trips would be really cool. The ribbons are very protected because we're behind the ribbons where we dive. But I think that'd be really, really fun to see.
Cool. Yeah. I think yeah. Educational programs are.
I'm sorry, I'm forgetting something. We take volunteers each week, so it would be really cool if if we got some students to come on the JCU who they contribute to the dive deck, but they could also be contributing to the marine ecology side if they had the willingness and the mindset to. So that could be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of the people, like just talking about some of the crew on board, like Nat, for instance.
Absolutely, she's also on the reef trained, so that's.
So it seems like a lot of the staff are trained in some of the methodologies.
I think you naturally, going underwater, if you're even just by the seaside, you naturally develop an interest about what you're seeing. Yeah. And I think when you're in the industry long enough, that slowly migrates into a let's do some surveys and let's learn more about the reef.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Right. Now, I guess that pretty much covers I think most of the questions I had to ask you.
Cool.
Do you think, I guess, do you feel like there's any misconceptions about the reef or about the local industry that questions that you get from guests who are coming up here? And I know we sort of spoke a bit about how a lot of people think the reef is dead.
This is a slightly different question though, because I think there is a difference on misconception. I think the biggest misconception, that direct question people have on the reef, is that it's going to be plain sailing, and that it's going to be a flat guy. It's a huge boat I work on, and that it's going to be flat, and it's going to be calm, and I think a lot of people get on and they're like, oh, this is going to be fine. It's a great big boat. I'm not going to get seasick. And the reality of diving conditions out on the reef can be quite far from that. It can be very large waves, especially in minke whale season. We have a fantastic season of minke whales up here where they're all coming around the boat. It's one of the only places I know about in the world where whales seek out human interaction. So it's a super special thing to witness and see these whales coming right up to you. However, whales love the mad weather. They love it when it's like 25, 30 knots, and people come on the boat hoping to see whales, and it's just chaos. So a misconception would be about the reef, I would say, is that don't expect plain sailing. You can get marvellous weather when it's flat, calm or weak, and that is amazing, but a lot of the time it's blowing over 20 knots, and expect a bumpy ride. But the caveat of that is also expect to have kind of your mind blown by it as well. The sheer scale of the thing, and the sheer scale of the kind of great big coral bommies that are built by this tiny little animal. So there would be no misconceptions.
I was shocked this week. We had such good weather. There was a few bumpy days in between. A few of the steams were a bit
absolutely
bumpy, but it was really
pretty calm.
We had great conditions this whole week.
We have a really good boat crew on who know how to drive the boat, so it's fairly comfortable as well. They're
Well, I
really
mean, Mike Ball's been around for 30 years, 30 plus years. They know their stuff.
I think 50. I think we actually had our 50-year anniversary quite recently. So they know our stuff, and the boat crew, they're fantastic. My other misconception, just because it only came up yesterday, is that everyone constantly asks me about this little sea cucumber that you find on fans, and no one will believe me it's a sea cucumber. They are constantly telling me it's a worm. I promise you it's a sea cucumber.
This is one of the little white ones.
Little white ones, that's the...
I kept thinking, I passed by and I kept thinking it was like a polychaete of some sort.
Yeah, polychaete. Everyone's saying it's a polychaete worm. It's a sea cucumber. And I have to get it out in the book, and even I tell people as I show them in the book, and I see them later flicking back through the book being like, I'm sure she's wrong, I'm sure it's a worm. But just thinking about misconceptions.
What was your favorite thing that you saw this trip?
Ooh.
Just species wise.
That's really hard. That's really hard, and I'm so biased. My favorite, because people often ask me what's my favorite fish or favorite species, and my favorite one is always the species that I'm looking at that time. I just have endless love for this thing, and I'm like, oh my god, you're so pretty beautiful right now. You're right. You're running my shot, and you're being so photographic. Actually, I got very excited. I faintly saw an eagle ray off in the distance, and nice. Eagle rays are my favorite and will make my dive every single time. And this one was, I didn't get a close enough look at it to get a photo of it, but this one was big, really big. Borderline, like, is it a manta ray? But I couldn't see any, and it was much more of a nose, and that's the thing I love about eagle rays. They've got a fantastic nose on them. So I was like, that is, and it's the biggest eagle ray I've seen here by miles, double the size of the normal one that we'd see here. So very exciting to see like large rays around.
Rad. Now, I guess last question. You're about to head off. I'm about to make you late for your next trip. What are you doing?
I am.
What are you going to be up to?
We are heading. I'm heading back to the boat now. I was a little late meeting you here because I've been running around getting all my stuff done. We've got around a 4-hour changeover between trips, which is quite nice because you get a little bit of land time. See some trees moving forward back out to sea. So I'm going to be going down back to the boat, and we're going to be heading out a similar trip to what we did, but nowhere near as far north. So we're going to go out to, but we missed Bougainville out because the weather was a bit rough on the first day. We're going to go Bougainville, Osprey Reef, which are out into the Coral Sea. They're like satellite reefs off the Great Barrier Reef itself. Then we're going to come into Lizard Island, and we do this thing called a fly dive. So a fly dive is where we take, you can either do the whole week, or you can do 4 days and you go around the Coral Sea and you fly back on this really low altitude flight from Lizard Island. So it doesn't stop you diving the day before. You can still do all the dives, and then you fly at like 200 meters back, 200 meters altitude back along Lizard Island. In humpback whale season, it's amazing because you see humpback whales breaching from the plane, and you fly back into Cairns that way, and then another group fly up and do the three days back. So we call it a fly dive, and that's what we'll be doing next trip.
Cool. Well, I wish you the very best of luck with all of your survey and videography work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
It's been really lovely to speak to you and hear all about everything.
Well, best luck, and we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Cheers now.